The sun hung heavy over the highway, its bright daytime glare bouncing off passing cars, when Officer Mara Kelton felt the uneasy shift in the air around. The old gas station on Ridgeway Road, she had stopped only for a quick check after a complaint about suspicious behavior, but nothing prepared her for the way danger slithered out from the blind corners of that lonely place. She felt it before she saw them. 3 men stepping out from behind, the dumpsters with slow, predatory confidence, their shadows stretching across the concrete like warning signs she had no time to read. She reached for her radio, but the realization hit too late. The signal was dead in this pocket of land no one cared about. She took 2 steps back, her heart pounding, the sun blazing a halo around her as if spotlighting the moment she feared might be her last. If you believe in kindness, courage, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Light of Kindness. It helps us spread stories that uplift hearts. Mara had always been known among fellow officers as the calm one, the one who handled chaos with a steady hand. But today that calm began to crack like thin glass under pressure. The 3 men weren't just loiterers or harmless wanderers. Their clothes were dirty, their eyes wild with adrenaline and something darker, something desperate. They had been waiting for anyone in uniform, someone they could blame for their troubles, someone they could punish for the world they felt owed them more. Mara positioned herself with her back toward the station's wall, trying to find footing on the cracked concrete, but the men closed in like wolves circling prey. She tried to reason with them, to steady herself, but her words scattered into the wind and meant nothing to men who had already made their choice. The first man rushed forward and shoved her hard, making her stumble into a stack of old tires leaning against the wall. Pain shot up her shoulder, but she refused to go down, fighting to regain control of the moment even as fear clawed up her spine. She tried to signal again through her radio, forcing her voice through static, but the only answer was the mocking laughter of the man closest to her. As he batted the radio from her hand, the world seemed to shrink into that small patch behind the gas station where the smell of gasoline mixed with dust and sweat. Mara's mind raced with every call she'd ever responded to, every risk she'd taken, every promise she'd made to protect the people of the city she was not supposed to become, the victim she was supposed to be, the shield, the safety, the one who stood tall. But now she felt trapped in a nightmare playing out in raw daylight. She lunged for her baton, but another man struck her leg with a piece of scrap metal, forcing her onto her knees. Her vision blurred for a moment as she braced her hand against the burning cement. She felt powerless, something she had not felt since she was a scared teenager learning to defend herself after losing her parents in a reckless accident. She had worked hard her entire life to be strong, to be useful, to be the person who stepped in when others stepped away. Yet here she was, with 3 strangers, taking advantage of her isolation, feeding on the vulnerability she had tried so hard to bury under training and courage. One of them yanked her by the vest and dragged her to the back fence, where weeds grew tall and unruly against sagging metal links. She felt the sting of the sun on her neck as she tried to push back, but her strength was wearing thin. She heard footsteps crunching the gravel, but they didn't belong to her attackers. For a split second, hope flickered, but then it vanished just as quickly. These men had turned the world around her into a vacuum where no one, especially not fellow officers, seemed to exist. She felt her lungs tighten as one of them raised his hand again, but before it could strike, something changed in the atmosphere, a deep rumble like thunder rolling across the pavement. She returned to duty, but now she carried a deeper understanding of humanity's strange and beautiful complexity. Some days she stopped by the same gas station, not because she feared it, but because she refused to let bad memories claim it. On one of those afternoons, she heard the familiar rumble again and saw Arden and his group pulling in for fuel. She felt an unexpected warmth as they exchanged nods of acknowledgement. A silent connection formed through a moment neither of them asked for, but both had lived through. She learned their chapter often rode that route to help stranded motorists or check on isolated rural residents when floods hit. These men, who many assumed to be trouble, were simply people who understood hardship and chose to respond to others' pain with protection. As time passed, Mara found herself growing emotionally stronger, inspired by the very people who saved her. She joined community outreach programs, spoke at events about unexpected heroism, and even invited Arden and his riders to one of her department's charity gatherings. Their presence stunned the audience, but warmed their perception of the world. A little more, she realized she was no longer healing alone. She was part of a circle of resilience that stretched far beyond uniforms and biker vests, and on days when the sun shone just right, casting long shadows across the roads she patrolled, she remembered the moment she almost broke, and the strangers who arrived like thunder to stand between her and harm. She remembered that kindness sometimes rode in on two wheels, draped in leather and powered by roaring engines. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Light of Kindness. It truly helps keep these stories alive. Special request: comment respect to the brave if you believe every act of courage matters.